Hello and welcome to Virtual Partner Summit. I'm thrilled to bring together our vacation rental partners from all around the world. I'm Anji Udeshi and I lead partner brand here at Expedia Group. I've been with Expedia for 4 years and I have to say that the best part of my job is connecting with partners like you. So thanks for taking the time. Thank you for being here. We're thrilled. And over the course of Summit, we have quite a few topics to cover. But today I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker who has a wealth of knowledge on attracting travelers from all over the world through inclusive practices. Before I intro her, I'd first like to talk about some trends. My team here at Expedia Group recently conducted some research that spanned across 8,000 respondents in 8 markets earlier this year. And quite a few trends emerged from that, and we have all of those hosted on our host resource website. It's in an info-packed report, but a rising trend that I want to highlight today is that travelers are placing high importance on values-driven travel experiences. Nearly 2/3 of travelers say they're more willing to book with owners and property managers that have inclusive policies. So what do I mean by inclusive policies and practices, and what are travelers viewing as inclusive? This includes accommodations owned by women or people of color, welcoming to the LGBTQIA community, multi-generational travelers, and people with disabilities. Essentially, we mean welcoming people of all backgrounds and abilities. Booking decisions based on inclusive policies and practices is a global trend. And leading the way is Mexico, where 8 in 10 travelers are more likely to select accommodations with inclusive policies. However, there is a generational gap. Nearly 60% of respondents over the age of 40, Gen X and baby boomers, say that they're likely to book an inclusive accommodation. That number increases to 77% for those under the age of 40, or millennials and Gen Z travelers. This indicates that younger generations are more likely to make values-based decisions. This is an important consideration for travel businesses, as the under 40 demographic will only become more consequential as their purchasing power increases in the next decade. So for our partners, there is a massive, massive opportunity to connect with guests more deeply through your shared values. So with that, I am thrilled to introduce Evita Robinson. Evita has tons of accolades. In September 2011, Evita Turquoise Robinson created the NOMADNESS Travel Tribe, an online social community primarily for travelers of color. The group currently surpasses 25,000 international members with over 30 regional ambassadors. From the success of the online group, Evita has garnered partnerships with top brands and destinations around the world. Evita's accolades include National Geographic's 21 Most Visionary Women throughout travel history, a FAR Travel Vanguard Award recipient, the Route 100, and being noted as one of Entrepreneurs Magazine's 50 Most Daring Entrepreneurs of 2018. She now serves as contributing editor of Condé Nast Travel Magazine, keynote speaker, media personality, TED resident, consultant for destination marketing organizations, and continues her love of seeing the world while writing her first book and developing her own travel television series. Please join me in welcoming Evita to the virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Anji. It's really exciting to be here. I'm happy to do this with Vrbo and Expedia Group. It's an honor to be here, and I'm excited to get into the nitty-gritty on how you all can increase your earnings through inclusivity. So if you all are ready, I am ready, okay? We're gonna jump in here. So what I want to do is first off, give an introduction to NOMADNESS Travel Tribe. For those of you who don't know me, don't know what NOMADNESS Travel Tribe is. I am indeed the founder and creator of not just NOMADNESS Travel Tribe, but also our festival, Audacity Fest, for travelers of color and our allies. So NOMADNESS is both an online and offline, and I stress that, community of over 27,000 travelers of color, right? We've had over 30 group trips over the 10 years that we have been in business and in community with one another, in which we have stayed in an array of both hotels and home sharing networks, including Vrbo in the past. We had a really swanky spot in Vermont that I really remember from us. We are a community of 78% Black women. 90% of us originate in the United States, but 19% of us are actually expats. Our membership is all around the world. And so these are 100% avid leisure travelers, right? So these are your guests that walk into your property and frequent your Vrbo property. So I'm excited to be able to represent them on our behalf as well. Now, nothing that I've done in the last 10 years of building NOMADNESS Travel Tribe has so poignantly and so concisely represented the why behind my community and the work that I do than my TED Talk. So a quick background, in 2017, I was a part of a program that they no longer have, unfortunately, called the TED Residency. It was a 4-month residency program with some of the world's biggest names and emerging thought leaders. And leading up to this 7-minute talk, we were able to work together on really trying to change the world. And so for me, as the title of my TED Talk is Reclaiming the Globe, it was all about really telling the story of what the Black travel movement looks like and what it means for us, especially as Black Americans. So I am immensely proud of this TED Talk, not just because I gave it, but because the message is dynamic. And so let's get into this TED Talk, and I'll see you in a second. I'll never forget walking into Albrook Airport just outside of Panama City for the first time. With falling scaffolding barely hidden behind tarp screens and propeller airplanes that still to this day I just don't quite trust, it was clear that the airport was under construction, which was fitting because so was my life. An expat by the age of 21, having lived on 3 different continents by 25, and now at 33, having traveled to over 30 different countries, I've followed damn near all the roads less traveled. And on this day in 2012, it led me to Panama. But I wasn't alone. I was there with 16 strangers. Strangers who'd given me their money on the internet and hoped I didn't run off with it. Fair enough. Strangers who only had this new Facebook group about travel that I'd created in common up until that point. Yet there we were, and here we are. Tribes, historically defined as a social division in a traditional society consisting of families or communities linked by social, economic, religious, or blood ties, with a common culture and dialect, typically having a recognized leader. NOMADNESS Travel Tribe, as shown and defined in 2017, the very first international group created specifically for millennial travelers of color, a group of nearly 20,000 primarily Black women breaking the stereotypes set before us as to who we are, thus self-defining where we can go. We're the catalyst for an entire travel lifestyle movement that's gone underrepresented by mass media and the travel industry as a whole. But we come from a grossly underrepresented history, and many could argue a grossly underrepresented present as well. See, our story is a complex one, starting with Victor Hugo Green. From 1936 to 66, a Black mailman from right here in New York City created an annual guidebook for African-American road trippers, the Negro Motorist Green Book. See, on one hand, you had the rise of the Black middle class, right? And on the other end, you had a country that was riddled in Jim Crow laws, pretty much prescribing discrimination to anyone who wasn't white. Separate but equal was more like separate and not. And this book outlined safe spaces for these travelers to stop for food, lodging, and car repairs along their route. It even noted sundown towns, or all-white neighborhoods where Blacks had to leave by sundown or be met with police force, violence, or even death. The Green Book saved lives. It was indeed a Black traveler's safe space. And this publication even led Green to go on and found his own traveling agency, thus creating the framework for generations of Black American travelers after him. Then we have the James Baldwins, Nina Simones, and Josephine Bakers, all the way to the Black soldiers who fought in world wars as our representations of the expats of that era. They're also some of the most distinguished representations of our culture, Black culture. Now, Black American culture is exported around the world many times without giving acknowledgement to the people it originated from.
our style, our music, our art, hell, even our struggles at times have been appropriated, diluted, and disconnected from us. So riddle me this. How can Black American culture freely move around the world, but we as a people have parts of our history where physically we couldn't do the same? Because there's a silent burden that every Black American traveler takes with them abroad. That is the realization that when we go abroad, we are immediately either perpetuating or diffusing bias placed on us by negative media depictions that our country has ushered out to the rest of the world. So it's not them, it's what they've seen of us. Because if your itinerary says that you land in Japan on June 6th, best believe that the images of the likes of you arrived on an earlier flight. I can no longer count how many times I've traveled abroad and people have thought that I was everything except for American, some even refusing to believe it after being corrected. And although those exchanges tend to be frustrating, they've created an actual opportunity that NOMADNESS has taken on as responsibility. These trips are our moments to set the record straight. We're showing the world that Black people do travel everywhere and we aren't a monolithic people. We come in all shades and sizes and with interests that are as diverse as we are. Our simply showing up allows the world to hear our stories from our mouths. By being exposed to us, we are able to unwrap our truths and gift them over and over and over again. Every trip, every conversation. We've expanded beyond sundown towns. I can now freely backpack in this country and walk into restaurants that my grandmother could have lost her life in decades ago because of the color of her skin. This is what the Black travel movement means to its participants. From generations, we've gone from literally being chained to literally being able to fly, with quite a bit of turbulence in between. Bred from NOMADNESS, there are a number of communities for travelers of color today. Collectively, we are changing the perception of millions, both home and abroad. We are in India, celebrating Holy Festival of Colors in the streets of Jaipur, shark diving in Cape Town, South Africa, teaching English in Niigata, Japan, and yes, we are even running with the bulls at the San Fermin Festival in Pamplona, Spain. We are here and we are relevant. We are tribe. So, what's next? Well, I'm still here, holding the baton, still running, maybe just in heels. But 30 trips later, December 2016, we ended up back in Panama. Once again at Albrook Airport, yet again on our way to Bocas del Toro. But the conversation has changed. It's not just about traveling. It's about developing, rooting, and we look forward to being the vessel to help take the movement to the next level. Time to get back to work. Thank you.
All right, let's get into open doors. First of all, if any of you have doors in your properties that lead out to any of these images, you need to contact me directly. I will be there before the end of this year. But what I really wanted to say is, as Vrbo hosts and property managers, it's really important to understand that you are this intersection of culture and commerce, right? And you intersect there daily, whether you're aware of it or not. And they coincide probably a bit earlier and faster than you even realize. It starts as early on in the process where your prospective guests are searching for lodging on the platform, right? That's how early it is. And as Black travelers, we really do look for indicators. And I'll get to that in a little bit, but I just wanted to take a brief minute and a beat for you to just really understand that your open doors are not just to your home, but also to the experiences and the culture that everyone who comes through those doors is bringing with them at any point in time. So let's talk numbers a little bit, right? To paint the financial picture, because we all are here to learn about increasing revenue. This is the expenditure of a number of different demographics in the travel industry. And I'm just going to take a minute to kind of go through each one of them. So we have $56 billion. That is the Hispanic and Latinx leisure travel spend every year. The 218.7 billion. Now these are with B's, billions, okay? The 218.7 billion, that was the LGBTQIA plus travel spend in 2018 with 2.2% average annual growth rate, right? So those numbers are going up. We all know, if you've seen the MMGY Black American Traveler Survey, $109.4 billion is the approximate annual spending of Black travelers in 2019. Also, and this number completely surprised me, but it's such a good nugget to have, $220 billion. That was the pre-COVID Muslim travel market estimation by 2020 for Muslim travelers. Huge subset, which is why you also need to pay attention to the intersection of a lot of these demographics when it comes to making sure that you're inclusive. So I'm going to jump into some in-house data numbers because I like tossing them out at you in conjunction with the stories. And so I want to set you up a little bit with just a brief look at the methodology of what we did to get some of the numbers that I'm presenting to you today. So during COVID, one of the side effects was that we all had to sit down. And then during that time, NOMADNESS actually partnered with Tourism Reset, an amazing nonprofit that functions and is supremely focused on tourism data aggregation. And so we ended up last summer getting over 5,000 respondents. Actually, it was just under 5,300 respondents to create an 89-page quantitative and qualitative data report that is all about the BIPOC traveler. Now, you're going to hear me say terms like BIPOC throughout this presentation. If you don't know what it is, it's okay. BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. So we're talking about this on the diversity spectrum. We were able to have like 90-minute interviews with some of the biggest Black travel influencers as a part of this set. Kelly Edwards, first Black woman to have a show on Travel Channel. Onika Raymond, one of the most noted Black travel influencers. Even some up and coming ones that are making waves that you all definitely need to know about, like Fletcher Cleaves, who is all about accessibility. He goes by the wheelchair nomad, but you'd be surprised what you see him do. Literally, there's videos of him going viral, cliff diving in Mexico right now. So just to note, this was not sponsored and it wasn't paid. It was all in-house. And it was an amazing partnership with Drs. Alana Dillette and Dr. Stephanie Benjamin, who I have to give a nod to for working with us on this data set. And so this is where our numbers are coming from. So let's get into some of the Honeycomb stats from our data report. This can be utilized, right, as a knowledge base for some of the decisions that you make as Vrbo homeowners and property managers. So take this in, internalize it. It's good stuff. So let's start with this one. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are the most utilized platforms by BIPOC travelers, right? Social media, content is king, distribution is queen, right? So social media, you're going to see how I implement this and some tips a little bit later on and how you can use these social media platforms to really maximize the reach of your properties. Also, 25% of travelers utilize travel groups to plan for travel, right? This is actually one of the stats that was amazing that we had, because on the lower end, we actually found that tourism marketing was the least to grab a BIPOC traveler's attention when they make their decisions on where to go and where to stay. So it is the sweat equity, the community, the trust that's been built in communities like NOMADNESS over the last decade. We really listen and drive a lot of the decision-making for all of our people on where they stay and where they're going. 27.6% of BIPOC travelers prefer to stay in home sharing accommodations, right? So hotels was number one, but listen, 27.6%, almost 30% ain't shabby, right? So you all definitely have a really dynamic market share. And I want to be here to give you this information to kind of help you really just go in on that one. 93% of BIPOC travelers preferred to support local vendors and entrepreneurs of color while traveling. This is huge. And there's some tips that you're going to see a little bit later that I can help implement as far as like, what are the local jobs, restaurants, entrepreneurs, local markets, where people can see folks that look like themselves. I can tell you with NOMADNESS, I also curate trips. And through those trips, we seek out tour operators and vendors and local entrepreneurs that look like us to be able to support them financially, especially if they're a small business entity. And so this is huge for us. In addition, 73% of BIPOC travelers found it very important or extremely important to see people from their own cultural or ethnic background represented in travel and tourism marketing. How are you branding your properties to attract the eye of BIPOC travelers, right? Again, I'm here to teach, so I got some tips for you, but you need to understand the gravity of specifically the last two. 93% and 73% are some large numbers. It's very, very important. Okay, so this is a screenshot of our COVID-19 impact section of the data report. It is more robust in the full scope, but this gives a look at the reasons why our community travels. We're thinking along the lines of like recurring events that we travel to, group trips, a la things like NOMADNESS and other communities that host them annually. Family reunions are huge, especially in the Black community. It's something that we normally put together annually, and they are huge. We normally bridge two sides of one family, and people travel from all around, right? Festivals, are there festivals, music, art festivals that are happening in your area? Make sure that you note the events that are around to see if there's a marketing opportunity there to get guests to come in and book with you. Also homecomings, right? And I'm not just talking about your everyday, university homecoming, but also specifically for those of you who are unaware, there is a very tight lineage with HBCUs, so historically Black colleges and universities in the US, and their homecoming is the event of the year. Their alumni come back for decades just to come and hang out and commune at homecomings. And so if you are in a space that has any of these colleges and institutions, you should really look at the calendar that they have of their events, because it would be an influx, particularly of Black travelers that would be coming into your destination at any point in time. And you just see the stats. Again, 28.1% visit family, 45% are into leisure, business professional, just kind of giving you some inner workings with how we think and book our travel. And we also have economic analysis, right? So of the 5,300 people that filled out our survey, the average spend per year on domestic and international travel was $5,435. Again, this is just from our survey of 5,300 members, and that comes out to 16.4 million just with those that took our survey. So trust me, there is an economic impact that you can definitely influence and capture. Continuing with that is generational wealth, right? So one of the things that you should also know is just over 89% of our 5,300 survey takers identify as either Gen Xers or millennials, right? So we have this intersection of two generations that came in tandem, one right after the other. And so both of them split the pie equally at $7.2 million. So of those across each generation, it's a combined 14 million over 1 year with the people that took our survey. So they're spending the money, guys. Trust me. Okay. So I like to use NOMADNESS as a focus group for everything. And when I was presented with this keynote opportunity and some of the questions that you all even had coming into it, I turned to the NOMADNESS community to get just a couple answers to a few of the questions prior to the presentation. And it ended up being a really good exercise because I'm able to, in real time, kind of present these to you. You'll see it says October 7th. So this was just a number of weeks ago in which these questions were asked and these answers that I'm going to be showing to you all were presented. And so it's very relevant. So the way that I approached it was for those who seek out vacation rentals, what are things that a host can do to make your stay feel more inclusive, right? Culturally, ability-wise, solo versus family, LGBTQIA+, all of these intersections. And I also said, I'll start with natural hair care products. My hair is slicked back today, but when it is out, it is big and it is curly. And there are specific products that can go in it and that cannot. And so I'll talk to some of the tips that we have for you all from the feedback from our community, right? So everybody's identity is protected, as you can see, but I was able to pull out some of the themes that I saw pop up because we had hundreds of comments come from this, right? So one of the big things was just accessibility, right? And as said here, making places permanently ADA accessible might be cost prohibitive, but there may be things that a host can do, like rearrange furniture, provide tools to make things less inaccessible, right? So if that is something that you have in your home, it's something for you to think about because there's also a lot of money being spent when it comes to traveling with disabilities and accessibility, because trust me, like Fletcher Cleaves, they are out there and they are cliff diving. The other one that was really big was ethnically ambiguous and diverse decor in the house, right? I'm going to be showing a few examples of this actually as we go forward in the presentation. But the main question I want you to ask yourself is, what story does your home tell, right? Are there Confederate flags? Is it a patriarchal leaning design? Is it accessible, family friendly? Is there anything that's up that anyone would possibly find offensive, right? Those are the questions that you really want to ask yourself. Also, childproofing came up. And I really think that this just comes down to rising to the occasion of what you put in your listing. It's really that simple. If you are promoting that it is a family-friendly place, make sure that you have things like childproofing and also, other babies that we have in our lives, pet inclusive, right? If this is something that you're promoting for your property, make sure that it's there. I love this. She recommends a small startup kit for your pet, a Ziploc bag of cat litter, food, and water bowl. I love it. It's like they have their own little welcome package, right? Another thing that came up too were house directions, specifically on how to use electronics, Wi-Fi, et cetera, right? Now, this is also something that should be in a hard copy because we also deal with things like language barriers and things of that nature. And so you want to make sure that you have something that, as trippy as the tech is now, they can scan, and even there are apps now where it can translate from text. And so you want to make sure that you make it as easy and as seamless as possible for that. And this also goes into living like a local. This is really important for us, right? So in addition to using your Vrbo app, I recommend a hard copy and a prepared list of local businesses that you have relationships with, but also that are either BIPOC owned or LGBTQIA plus owned, but definitely at a basis that they're welcoming to people of different backgrounds, right? So this is what is said here, a list of recommended local small businesses, which they themselves have established relationships with, right? Also, another thing that came up was the in-house journal. I personally also really love this. I think it's really cute. I think it's amazing to see all the places that people are from when they've stayed in your properties. And it's just a really cool keepsake. And I like kind of having my stamp somewhere else that I've been in the world. So the customization of in-house journals and snacks. Snacks came up a lot. You guys, please make sure you have snacks in the house and a water bottle that's set up there for the amount of people that you know are coming with that booking. That came up a lot. I guess people, they show up after traveling all day and they've been starving. So we also have safety as a priority, which I think with the BIPOC traveler sometimes is really overlooked, and it shouldn't be, right? Like there's certain nuances to our experience just in the world that, definitely have to take front and center. And so one of the things that I would say is that safety looks like a lot of different things for us as travelers of color. It can look like hosts needing to get to know your neighbors, right? So that they call you instead of the cops if there is an issue. This is huge. We know and have seen how the travel industry has been brought to task after the death of George Floyd, right? This is a very serious life or death issue for travelers of color, particularly Black travelers. And so please take that. Get to know your neighbors. Let them know that you are a Vrbo host and property manager, and really build out those relationships so that they come to you if there is an issue first. Another example is instant booking, right? And contactless check-in and check-out. This has definitely been more prominent during the days of COVID. And this is something that came up a lot when I was dipping and diving into the research with my community as well. It also takes a lot of the judgment of anybody that's coming. It's a blind booking. And so you're able to make sure that it bypasses any discrimination that could possibly come up on the back end. The other thing is be responsive, right? I actually have a personal story where when I was in Memphis for our Audacity Fest, there was a property that I had booked and I was locked out. In addition to me being locked out, I was in a neighborhood that I did not recognize as a Black single woman by myself. It took 45 minutes for the property managers to get on the phone with me and return my phone calls. And come to find out, the key that was supposed to be on site was actually taken by the previous person who stayed. And that was enough grounds for me to tell them that I needed to switch out and get to a different property, because literally somebody could have access and literally walk right in quietly at any point in time. So be responsive. Literally, when you're getting called and text, please be responsive, but also be responsive to the needs and the concerns that you may be faced with if there happens to be an issue with safety with one of your properties. Okay, marketing to the intersection. This is one of my favorite slides, right? So something that you all need to know, and the travel industry has a little bit of an issue with this across the board anyway. No one part of the BIPOC community is a monolith. There are intersections. As we are all human, there are multiplicities to us, right? And so a number of you had asked about the marketing of your homes and manage properties in a way that you can get guests to share on social media, or how you can attract influencers. And I'm going to get into that in the next slide. But let's talk to some of these intersections, right? My experience as a Black single woman is going to be different as a traveler from a Black male. And that's going to be different from somebody who is Black and LGBTQIA. There are certain nuances that I'm looking for that they may not be, and vice versa. My, the travel experience of one of our Asian allies is going to be different than one of our Muslim travelers. You know, they're going to be looking for halal and certain types of foods. And there's just little nuances that really do make the difference when you pay attention to them. And again, accessibility and ableism is another intersection. So just understand that none of us are all a monolith, and that there are intersections to be considered in marketing, and just having the best experience set up for the people, for your guests. Okay, so tips for marketing your property. I love this photo of the Jungalow. Love it, love it, love it. So here are some tips for marketing, right? A few ideas, they kind of fall under the realm of the marketing intersection, right? So number one is brand your property. I love this whole name, the Jungalow, and everything in the aesthetic kind of falls within that. It's fun. This is poppy. This is definitely an Instagrammable area in a home. And I'm going to show you some more options that you can have like that. Make it fun, right? Give your house or your property an actual name. Does it have a hashtag on social media? Does it have an Instagram page of its own? Like, your home kind of has to become a character and a personality on the trip that people want to share. So think about it like that way. Think about it as a character that people walk into, and an experience and personality that people walk into, and that will inspire creativity on how you can actually brand it. Also, creating Instagrammable areas in the home and the property that make guests want to post, right? We've all been on Instagram and seen like the wall that literally just has two like wings, angel wings, that people have a line around the block standing in front of. We've seen the cool neon light signs in different restaurants and properties that just have a really cool saying. And so people want to take pictures in front of it. And so really just think about cool decor staging, and just get creative, have fun with it, and ask some other people that are in your community, like, you know, what would make you want to stay here? What are some cool kitschy things that you think would be awesome? Reaching out to influencers also came up for us a lot too. Here's the deal. You can also always do a cold call to different influencers to come and stay. Obviously, it's better if you can actually pay them for their reach and for them staying there. But also, a lot of times they will do it for free if they want to stay in your property. Listen, Instagram, doing it for the gram is a thing, as we all know. And so, especially if you're somebody that's more local, right? Look for localized influencers that you can reach out to. That way it isn't an expensive spend, and maybe they can just stop by for a comped overnight, and all of the reach that you would get on the back end would be worth it for them to stay for free. In addition, like I said before, knowing your local events, right? What is recurring? What festivals are happening? What is popping in the area? And again, for those of you that are by historically Black colleges and universities, look for the homecomings, look for those family reunions, because I think also with COVID, we know that people are traveling more in pods. And so with the pod mentality, they are going to be looking for places that are more indicative of a home, a villa, things of those types of nature. So it's a real opportunity there. And then language matters, right? Audit the language in your listings, making sure that it's not neo-colonialist and it's not anything that's going to offend anyone. Really look at the language that you have, and also make sure that it lines up effectively and efficiently with what you're actually promoting in the space. Again, if it's accessibility, ADA compliant, if it's perfect for families, make sure that those things align, because they will be looking for it. And also, I just want to use and give a shout out to the Jungalow again, because they do an amazing job of branding literally throughout social media and their listings. And these are the visuals that they have on site of the properties, right? I look at this and I want to take photos. I want to stay there to take photos for my social media. And that is essentially the type of energy that you want people, particularly influencers, to feel when they are considering your properties, right? Another thing too, when we were talking about culturally ambiguous, right? This is more location oriented, right? I have a Moroccan feel. I could even see this in Mexico, different parts of Africa. They've nailed it with the cultural aesthetic, right? This is going to rope somebody like me in with the fun tribal designs, the colors, but it's an inclusive design. This is something that radiates color and energy and vibes for anybody that comes in, not just a certain subset of people. So that concludes your tips for marketing your property. Now, I wanted to say questions. Again, if you wanted to follow me or NOMADNESS, you can find us at NOMADNESS Travel Tribe. But I have some of the questions that you all have posed for us today, and I wanted to jump into some of them for you. So the first one I want to touch on is, how do we deal with neighbors who aren't open to diverse cultures, right? This is a very important question, and kudos to whoever sent it in to us, because you should be asking this question. And I'm going to say it really starts with a direct conversation, right? Make sure your guests of color are in fact safe staying in your property, right? And that includes your neighbors. There has to be a direct conversation between you and your neighbors to kind of figure out what type of middle ground that you could come up to. Also, maybe invite them over while you have guests that are there. Do something to kind of break that third wall or fourth wall. I can't remember which one it is, but break that wall where they feel like they're on the outside, and have it be a more inclusive conversation, but also experience. Allow them into the space to feel more comfortable with your setup. Question number 2 that I wanted to touch on was, how does one convey that people are welcome in my apartment without sounding tacky? The truth of the matter is, say it and just be it, walk the talk, because being inclusive is never tacky. It's never tacky. There's no way you can be tacky. So yeah, don't worry about that one. The next one, best toiletries for accommodating multicultural guests. Okay, I'm going to go off on this one because this is where I enter the equation on a personal level as well. There's literally only one hotel that I've ever stayed in DC, that they're my favorite hotel. And it's not about the luxury, it's about the experience and the fact that they even had natural hair care products on the menu that you could get. Just having it as an option made such a huge difference, right? So let's jump into this. I would say having different types of body butters. If you have a shea butter or a cocoa butter that is in your property, that is amazing, a huge plus. Also, if you can find this amenity and buy them in bulk so that each one of your guests actually is able to use their own and keep it sanitary, I would invest in wide tooth combs, right? So my hair is slicked back right now, but when it is out and it is in full force, it is curly, it is vibrant, it is thick, it's beautiful, but I need a wide tooth comb just to get through this thing, right? And so if I walked into a property and they had a bulk one that I could just kind of pick out and keep with me and take with me when I leave, I would totally be blown away. I'd put you on Instagram just for having the wide tooth comb, legit. And different natural hair care products, right? So a little secret that we know because it's our hair is, and when you go into even a generic drugstore, there's always like an ethnic hair care section now. It's usually very small and all the way at the end, but it does carry some of the big name natural hair care product brands, right? So we're talking about Cantu, we're talking about Shea Moisture, Design Essentials, Miss Jessie's, even Tracy Ellis Ross's Pattern, right? There's a whole section that you can go to. And even if you just get a couple, even travel sized of those, if you have it as an option, trust me, it's going to make a huge difference for anybody coming in there that has natural hair. And then the last question, is what type of destinations do NOMADNESS Tribe members go to? And I love this question, and thank you for who asked. The answer is we've been all over the world. I've taken them on almost 40 trips in the last decade, and we have gone everywhere from the beach fales in Samoa and Apia, Samoa, all the way to Running with the Bulls in Pamplona, Spain, to Holy Festival of Colors in India, to South Africa for Afropunk during New Year's. We have literally touched so many places in the world. No place is off of our radar. And we've even done domestic trips. You know, the Verbo that we stayed in was an amazing mansion that we did in Vermont when we had a ski trip during the winter many, many moons ago. And so we are all over the place. And yeah, if you want more information on NOMADNESS or on me, again, reach out anytime. My personal email, evita@nomadnesstv.com, and NOMADNESS Travel Tribe. And I hope that you take these tips and you take these data sets and really just increase your revenue through inclusivity. It's been a blast. I hope this was informative, and I look forward to seeing you in your properties very, very soon. Thank you.